Steve, an eventful week. How's the mood? You know, what's your understanding of the latest on the managerial front? We understand Nuno Espirito Santo is under consideration about a return.
I honestly don't know about that, apart from what's always been put in the papers. All I've been doing is concentrating and focusing on getting some points and getting a good performance tomorrow. I think that's the remit, and that's the direction that we're taking at the moment. How much of your brief has been making sure that the players are focused and highly motivated for what is intrinsically a huge fixture on Saturday against Nottingham Forest? Yeah, we're just, as I say, we're just trying to keep players positive, which we've managed to do over the last couple of weeks. We've looked into things we can improve, you know, and that's without doubt we need to improve. If we're going to continue to climb up the league, we get some points. But we're working hard on the areas where we think we can get better. And like any team that's not picking up results or scoring goals at the moment, it's imperative that we do that.
Diego Costa started against Chelsea. What's your assessment on his match sharpness, Stephen, and Raul Jimenez as well? How close do you think he might be?
Diego obviously covered probably more minutes than we thought at Chelsea, so we'd be hopeful that he could continue with those sort of minutes or maybe more. We know it depends how hard we can push him. We'll know what the live data is during the game, so we can look at that during the game and assess how long we can push him for. And obviously, it's important to us. We don't want to push him too hard too soon. Obviously, the Raul situation at the moment is not, he's not going to be available at the moment. So, it's important that we keep our focal point, Diego, fit. Any more bumps and bruises ahead of Saturday? No, I think the majority, obviously, the short, medium, long-term injuries have stayed the same. There's only about 4 or 5 that are struggling at the moment. So the rest are back. Bouba's back now from illness. Slight illness to Gedge, which is the reason he came off in the game. So he was struggling a little bit, but he's okay. He's recovered well from that, so we're not too bad. Thanks, Steve. Yes. Thank you. Nice.
Hi, Steve.
Hiya.
With all this talk surrounding the vacant managerial role, how difficult has it been for yourself and your players to kind of block out all the noise and just focus on the task in hand of turning results around and ultimately getting out?
It's been easy for us as coaches. Myself, James, we've just really got on with what we need to do. Experienced coaches, we know that things have to be right and organised and professional. So that's how we've conducted ourselves over the last 2 weeks. We've not really looked at outside interests and things that are happening away from the club. We're just worrying about what's happening inside. And inside, there's still a good feeling. There's still a positive feeling about everybody. Spirits are high considering the position, but and that's important. We need to keep that sort of spirit flourishing, and I think that's what we tried to do. And obviously, we're all looking forward to tomorrow.
Yeah, you mentioned tomorrow, of course, Nottingham Forest at Molineux. They've been through something of a recent reshuffle themselves in recent weeks, but of course, Steve Cooper staying at the club. Given the backdrop to this one, how big a fixture is it for both clubs?
Listen, every game's important. Obviously, the way the league looks at the moment, it puts a little bit more on the game. But every game, we want to try and change the result. We want to try and change our performances and be more of a threat in the games. The things that we've tried to improve on, we want to see some signs of. So, we're hoping that can be tomorrow. But every game's crucial. Every game's important. This game, obviously, because of the state of the two teams where they are at the moment, they're both struggling, battling for points and trying to turn form around and get some wins. So it puts more of an emphasis on it. But it's no different to any other game.
Yeah, you talk about the positions at 18th versus 19th. Do your prospective positions in the table, I guess the fact that a positive result could lift you out of the relegation zone, give your players even more of a motivation ahead of tomorrow?
Yeah, I guess so. I mean, we know how difficult points are in this league. It's, for me, the best league in the world. So it's very difficult. Nobody's going to give you points. You've got to earn them. You've got to work hard for them. We've emphasised that today in the meeting about how we can do that and how we can change and affect things ourselves. It's not just going to happen. We've got to affect by the way we are, but the controllables, and try and change them at the moment, change our fortune around. By being better, and and I think that's the message for tomorrow.
Yeah, you don't need me to tell you, but goals have obviously been difficult to come by in the league so far this season. Just 3 scored. What do you kind of put that goal drought down to, and how do you go about addressing it moving forward?
I think, listen, it's a combination of things. I think our build-up's been excellent. If I'm looking at stats, it's until we get to that final third and getting enough bodies in the box, getting people forward, getting us to be confident in shooting more, obviously rebounding, and just getting players in and around, anticipating opportunities. And when they have come along, we haven't made great decisions. So the decision making is really important in that final third. So we've worked a little bit on that this week. We're trying to get numbers in there in the area where we need it. But at the same time, we've got to make sure the structure behind our attacks is right as well. So every game has a different thing, so different analysis. So we're doing what we can, and the players are responding excellently to the work that we're doing.
Yeah, you mentioned the word confidence there. How key is that moving forward?
Confidence comes with performance and results. I think that if they can, react to the work and the things that we've been doing and get that result, the confidence changes. And then suddenly you're looking at a different situation going into the next game.
Yeah, on the next game, looking at the fixtures, it could be seen as a really big week or so for Wolves. After Forest, you're going to take on Crystal Palace, and then it's bottom side Leicester, all in the next 9 days. With that in mind, could this next week or so be a real turning point in the season?
I think leading up to the World Cup obviously is important. The games leading up to that, and then that long break. We've got an opportunity with 5 home games to make the most of those games. We've got to make it a fortress, which it always is. We've got to be tough to beat, and as I say, the opportunity is there with home games. 4 games in London is a difficult task, as we know. It's always difficult to go down there, but as long as we keep spirits high and we keep battling and we keep working hard on a training ground, we'll be working as hard as we can to turn them things around. Finally,
for me, on a personal level, how much have you been enjoying taking interim charge of your Walker Club?
Yeah, listen, it's the first week was probably a bit surreal about the situation, but I think this week now the realisation's probably kicked in a bit more, and still lots of pride, but we want to. What comes with pride is results, and as hard as you work in the week, the outcome is the most important thing, and that's what happens on a Saturday in the game. So I think a bit more pride if we can get some points.
Brilliant. All the best for tomorrow.
Thank you.
Bye. Hello, Steve. Just hello there. On that theme, just talking about that. Obviously, this week it's at Molineux, which is, I know you were saying last week has been a special place for you forever.
Yeah.
But even more so tomorrow.
Yeah, of course. I mean, I've stood on the side in games, but not games of this magnitude, really. So I think the experience of being on the side as a manager at another club, playing against Wolves in previous seasons is an advantage. I've been there before, so it won't be a shock. It'll be something that I enjoy. And, it's up to me to keep a cool head and making sure that I'm making the right decisions on the day.
You've obviously got 3 games in a week, potentially, which you and James may or may not be in charge for all of them. We don't know. I wonder if ordinarily, in a normal situation, you might manage one game with an eye on the others in terms of, looking after players and, conserving your resources. Is that more difficult for you to do because you don't know whether it will be you or not?
I think we have to do it. We have to look at this week. We have to look at tomorrow first and foremost, because that's the most important thing. But we also we do have an eye on Tuesday and Sunday. So, we've got players come back now, and the squad's a little bit healthier. So we've got to look at the starting 11 tomorrow. We'll be in the next day to recover, and then we'll have a look at Palace on Tuesday and see what's required to get something in that game as well.
Just one more from me, if I may. Joe Hodge, we saw last week on a much bigger stage, and certainly acquitted himself very well. Didn't look at all fazed by the surroundings he was in. Obviously, you'll have worked with him and other players coming through the Wolves ranks. I wonder if something like that, demonstrating to young players that there really is a pathway through to the top of Wolves, that you can make it in your day job, as it were. That must be very helpful as a proof you can say to those players, this is what you can do at this club.
Without doubt, yeah. I mean, there's Chairman Hugo as well that I've worked with previously. I didn't really work with Joe as much as James. James worked with Joe when he came from Manchester City. And he's accelerated his development very quickly. The others are a little bit slower. Chem took maybe 4 or 5 years. You go the same. So they all have different pathways, different times. But equally, we're as proud. Obviously, working in the academy, we want opportunities to give them to the players if possible. And obviously, being in this position at the moment gives us that opportunity. We recognise talent. We recognise players that are ready. And so we've given those players the opportunity. Chem's not disappointed. I think the players trust him now. I think from what you've seen of Joe in training, the players trust him within the training group, and I think that's important for them as well to feel part of that.
That's grand. Thank you, Steve. All the best tomorrow.
Thank you. Cheers, Mike.
Great. We'll turn the camera off, please, Alex, and we'll move on to the written journalist. You guys.